I am joined by Rebecca Murtagh. She's Chief Strategist and President of Karner Blue Marketing. She works for an award-winning marketing firm founded in 2001. She's also a professional speaker, corporate trainer, and marketing coach. So Rebecca is going to be speaking with us today about basically the basics of SEO and keyword research. So I'll let you go ahead and begin.
Sounds great. Well, this is probably a little different than what most folks hear when they hear an introduction to SEO, as I'm sure you are aware, Vanessa. I take a marketing approach, so I really try to get a thinking process going before you start selecting your keywords, and I think when folks are able to do that, they see a much better result even as they're beginning. So I like to kind of plant those seeds. So we'll go through that together just to kind of introduce the way you approach SEO actually can make a big difference on how effective your methodology will be.
Perfect.
So, most folks start with actually asking what SEO is, and of course they understand that search engine optimization has evolved quite a bit over the recent years. And the idea is basically to optimize your digital assets, anything that you're using online, to reach your target audiences, and then most importantly, reach them when they're using search. And that has evolved quite a bit over the years. However, if you're really proactively managing your assets and optimizing them, they will be seen in all aspects of search. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, how we can dissect that and approach that in a more granular fashion. So the most important thing to remember, step one, and probably the most important thing to remember, is to offer search engines what they seek, and they will do the rest for you. Most folks think that they have to, stack up keywords or really focus on the nth degree of how to get that one keyword, bringing that one page to the top of search. But search has evolved quite a bit, and humans are searching, so you have to connect with your customers the way that they're using the search engines. Mm-hmm. And so what the search engines are looking for is the data to connect you with your audience. And that includes not just the on-site data, but also now your relationships, your authority, and the relevance that you demonstrate online. So it's not just about the quality of that one page. It's how your overall imprint, your interaction with the folks on the web, your customers, your peers, and what their experience is on your website as well that will determine your long-term performance in search engines. So what I do is I like to show these two graphs. One is the way that we all knew the internet way back in the beginning, scenario one. And if you were Google or a search engine, when you were looking at this, as opposed to the second slide where you have all of this other activity, you have an RSS feed, you have connection to a Facebook and a Twitter and a LinkedIn profile. You also have people blogging about you. You have people commenting on your blog. You have people viewing your videos either on YouTube or on your website, commenting. All of a sudden, those things play. So even if the content on two websites is very equal in weight as far as quality for search engine visibility, the rest of the relationship tells the story of the search engines and obviously gives you those data points that we just talked about, the data, the authority, the relevance, and the influence. So it's really important to think about as you're optimizing your assets. So what can you optimize? These are the things that folks really struggle with in the beginning because everyone knows about keywords, everyone knows about metadata, and it's so much more than that. So what I like to do is kind of start from the beginning and just remind everyone that you're optimizing every digital asset that you're putting out onto the web. And this means rethinking some of your process before you even get to the website. Everything from architecture, which we're not going to go into great depth here, but everything from how you're organizing the content, how you're naming things that you're putting on the website. But most importantly, you're representing that content to a way that can be consumed by the search engines to help tell your story, but also be found in all of these aspects of search. So it connects the dots in a way that makes the human that is using search, that little light bulb goes off, and they also connect with you. You're pre-qualifying the click, but also enabling the search engines to find that data that they need within your digital asset to validate you and then give you that position that you're seeking. So all of the digital assets that you're putting out there, whether it's a photograph, a video, a PDF, a white paper, anything that you're putting out there, you really need to be thinking about how that overall impacts your digital imprint. So you basically can optimize everything that's going out. And I gave you a list right here, so you can reference that: text, images, video, RSS, profiles, updates, and links. Now you notice some of this is social because of that relationship that I shared with you a few minutes ago. Those actually will connect the dots in search as well. So I don't want everyone to just think about SEO in the context of the website itself. You have to expand your thinking, because you do want to dominate as many of those page one results, and now social media is actually helping you do that. Mm-hmm. The next step is targeting, and this is probably one of the most difficult things for folks that are either entering SEO or advancing their SEO skills, is how they are able to reach not just the low-hanging fruit, the most qualified audiences, because it's no longer about getting the top position. That's really nice, but if you're not getting the click and the click through, but also the conversion, then you really aren't getting the ROI of the investment that you're making. And SEO is really, truly an investment. It's time, energy, money if you're outsourcing, and it is a long-term effort. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So you want to make sure that you really understand who you're trying to reach and applying your SEO accordingly. So that's not just the positioning, but also pre-qualifying the clicks. So when those results appear and you and your competitor may be going head to head, what do you put in your SEO that makes them choose you in that search engine result to get that click and then ultimately the conversion? I always talk about long tail because those words help tell that story. So aside from someone picking 6 or 12 keywords and focusing on that in the website, long tail helps you tell the story in the way that your audience is looking for the solution. And helps you optimize that accordingly. Now, it does create a lot more work, but it really does end up really taking that SEO into a more conversion-minded perspective. So one of the things we always talk about in SEO is keywords and phrases. And when I talk about long tail, some of the things that you want to be thinking about are not just your brand. You should obviously you should dominate your search engine results for your brand. If your brand is not dominating page one, then that's where you need to start, because that is where people are, when they've already made the decision to purchase from you. If they cannot find you, then you are really losing your opportunity to make. And of course, this applies differently depending on what kind of business you're doing, but your brand should always dominate. That's where you start. But then the solution, what is it you're offering to the audience? How do you differentiate yourself from your competitors? And then what is the offer? And then, you're absolutely completing for the click, which I said a couple minutes ago. It's not just about the position, but it's also how you differentiate yourself in that search engine result that prompts that viewer, that audience, that one individual doing the search to click on that search engine result. So the opportunities are for brand, research, comparison, and purchase. I call these the stages of the purchase experience, and we find this to be extremely effective in helping people that are learning to do SEO to understand how to get beyond the keyword mentality. Mm-hmm. So you're thinking about the first one is the brand. You have to own page one, but what you're really doing is making sure that everything that has your name on it, you own. The second is the research. This is where people start when they don't yet know what product they're going to buy. They don't yet know what service they need. They don't yet know where they're going to go or where they're going to stay. It really depends on what their search is and what you're offering them. But this is where they begin their search. And you want to be aware of that, because if you're only dependent upon your brand, they don't know about you yet. So you definitely want to be putting yourself in the path of research and offering information that brings them to you so that you can help them along that journey so that they can include you in their decision-making process. The third part is the comparison phase. And this is where they may find you and 2 other competitors, and this is where they're actually deciding who might I be willing to make this decision to purchase from or to buy from or to visit or to engage. These are the things this is very important, and all this shows up in the search engine result and helps the search engines tell the story as well. So when you're optimizing, you need to be thinking about First of all, what are they looking for? Second of all, how do we differentiate from our competitors? And then, of course, the last one is present the offer, because by the time they've selected you, and they might still be considering one of your competitors, by the time they've selected you, you're ready to close the deal. And if you can't offer them exactly what they're looking for, or maybe give them the best offer, one of your resellers might be getting the sale, then you're losing a commission. Or maybe your competitor has a better offer and you lose the sale because maybe someone else offers free shipping on the same product. So this is where you really want to present the offer to, once you have them at that point, it's absolutely critical that your search visibility allow them to close the deal. And that, depending on what space you're in, could be many, many different things. It could be a free trial. It could be, in the instance of retail, it could be something like adding a coupon, because typically when someone decides on a product, that's the next thing they're going to do. They're going to look for reviews, then they're going to look for coupons or discount codes. So these are things that you want to own in your own SEO. So if we look at the umbrella screenshot, you can see that by using a single word, and data shows that when people are typically, unless they're looking for a brand, they don't just use one word. But when they do, if they start there, you can see how the 140 million results is not really going to get them where they need to be. Mm-hmm. So in the long tail schematic of 80-20, 20% of your search will come from one word or branded keywords, and then 80% will actually come from what I call long tail, what most of us call long tail, which are keywords and phrases that are much more qualified. And that actually, again, uses those four key areas of brand where you dominate the brand page. So when we look at that in the example of the umbrellas, then I don't know if you can see here, but I had actually entered the word totes, and this is the result that we saw. So now you see that not only do they have organic listing, they dominate the page organically, but they also have a paid listing at the very top. So they are dominating that result from that perspective. So the totes.com, or the totes/isotoner.com in this case, their brand is dominating that. You must dominate the search results with the brand. Now, once they have determined the brand, that's fine, but before they get to that point, they may not be thinking of totes, or maybe they can't remember the name of the brand of the product or service that they're searching for. And this is where they do their research. They don't yet know what it is that they're seeking to buy, and now they're looking for the actual solution. So if someone is looking for an umbrella bubble, or a bubble umbrella, this is the way it would show up, then this is where they would start. They don't yet know who the manufacturers are or who the sellers are, where they're going to get the best price. All they know is they saw this cool bubble umbrella, and that's what they're looking for, and that's where they're going to start. So this is where you need to begin your competitive. Now you notice that the paid listings at the very top also include the totes brand, but in the organic, at the very top of the organic, we have an Amazon result at the top. So that's because they have optimized those assets in a way, along with the other behavior, that the search engine has granted that as a more credible search result. Mm-hmm. So, the point here with this screenshot is that you want to anticipate all the ways your offer will and optimize. In other words, think of what you're bringing to the market, whether it's a product, a service, an idea, whether it's your personal brand. If you're offering something specific, think of all the ways that they could possibly look for it, not necessarily how you would look for it, but how they would look for it. And as you notice, one of the reasons I captured these screenshots was that I wanted you to see the way that Google, in this case, is using the predictive autocomplete to give you all the samples of how that phrase is being frequently used, which allows you from an SEO perspective to gain that insight as far as a keyword research tool, which we'll talk about further in a couple of minutes. So now we have the comparative. Now that they know what they're looking for, and they have a feel for what their choices are, now they're going to start comparing the offers of the actual product. So in this case, again, I'm using the umbrella, the bubble umbrella, but I used a geographic example here because some folks are becoming very loyal to product made in the USA. You're seeking to distribute them and you're looking for someone that makes them overseas. It really depends on the context. But these are things that you have to be thinking about when you're optimizing your assets if you want to position yourself accordingly. So again, whether you're positioning yourself directly to the consumer, whether you're looking for resellers, will determine what kind of position this would be. But this is just one example. So this could be umbrella bubbles made in the USA, but this could be also many other things. It could be waterproof. It could be expandable or made for two, or whatever it is that you do that's slightly unique from the competitor and that you know that the customer is looking for. So that is very important to do so that you can actually reach those customers that are closer to buying. And then the last phase of this conversation when we're optimizing is for the purchase, and that's extending the offer. So now they finally decided who are the potential people that I can conduct my business with. What are they offering? And here's where you have to optimize to put your best foot forward here. And whether you're a B2B or a B2C, you really need to be able to pre-qualify the click. And this is where that offer is all important, because this is where the conversion occurs, is in this last phase of the SEO and the search process. When this consumer is using search, you want them to click on your website and conduct the sale. So you have to extend the offer, and that's done through the SEO as well. And you can see how this was done organically and also through paid, but you have the shopping results, and people are becoming much more savvy and experienced about how they're using their search. So you have to be optimizing your catalog, you have to be optimizing your product pages, your service pages, your demos, whatever it is that you're bringing to the market. You have to optimize all of those assets. So this is just a brief summary of that, what we just spoke about, and then we can actually talk about the use of the tools to select the keywords that you're going to do your optimization with. What are the words that you're going to qualify the content and the data and the imagery and the offers with? And one of the things that Google has done us a huge favor with is with this autocomplete feature, the instant search, you start seeing what the most frequently used phrases are. This is not a place to start. Word Tracker is a great place to start. One of the things I want to caution, especially new folks to SEO, is not to use the Google AdWords keyword tool. That is a totally different application of keywords than organic SEO. When you are selecting words, Google is telling you what sells the best for them as far as them selling keywords to advertisers. That has nothing to do with organic search and what people are going to click most and convert for your business. So it's really important to differentiate the two and try to resist the temptation to use a pay-per-click tool, which is very common for people that are interested in SEO to think of that as an SEO tool. It's really not. It's not the best place to start. But when you combine something like Word Tracker and Google search, and there are many other search engines out there. If you're trying to get visibility, even on a social platform, they have autocomplete as well. So you'll actually get to see a lot of this behavior, and you can automatically include that into your optimization scheme. Of course, it's much more complicated than this, but we're present an introduction so that folks know where to start and how to get there. And of course, there are many, many, many more rules to this, which we can't cover in this short time. So we want to encourage people to come to Pubcon to learn a whole lot more.
Great. And Rebecca will be speaking at Pubcon as well. And I'll just mention that that's the Las Vegas show coming up October 15th through 19th. And this was great. Rebecca, thank you so much. It was really, really informative. And Rebecca can be reached on Twitter at Virtual Marketer. And where else can we reach you?
You can find me at RebeccaMurtagh.com or on the company website, KarnerBlueMarketing.com.